I was born ready. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you hit the like button and also the subscribe button for the latest in boxing. Also follow me on social media at Boxingego. Right now I'm on Saul Canelo Alvarez's verified Instagram account. He is currently in Puerto Rico. The WBO is having a convention for all their fighters and champions that hold belts with them. So you'll see a ton of pictures. I've seen pictures with Canelo and Felix Verdejo, Canelo and Terrence Crawford. There's a ton of boxers there. I believe Roy Jones Jr., Gennady Golovkin, and more are there in Puerto Rico for this convention. Now, on Canelo's verified Instagram account, he posted his picture. He's being honored with the belt. There's the Reynosos, his team trainer, and he says, "My familia, my era, thank you WBO." So he's being presented with the belt that he won from defeating and knocking out Liam Smith, who was the past champion until Canelo took that belt from him. Now, I've maintained this. As soon as the fight with Liam Smith was announced, it did not make sense for one obvious reason is Liam Smith is not a big name in the States, so it's kind of backtracking. For a star like Canelo, he should be looking to make the A-side level fights, the big fights. But beyond that, one thing that I always told you guys on my channel was their goal was to allegedly fight Gennady Golovkin. That's what they said. Hey, we won him in 2017. We're going to move up to middleweight. And that was going in the opposite direction, dropping an extra pound, which you hadn't done in 5 fights at the moment. You know what I mean? From, let's say, Angulo all the way to Amir Khan, and then all of a sudden you're dropping that extra pound for a Liam Smith title shot. You get the belt, which most people expected because Liam Smith hadn't proven anything on a grand scale. Now you're being presented with the belt, and it's like I told you guys, it's kind of a waste of time. You got the belt, you stopped him, which we all predicted. Now you have the belt, and most likely you're going to drop it to go in the other direction and move up. So it really never made sense for me, and he got injured in that fight, and he's out for the rest of the year. So to me, the Liam Smith fight really didn't make much sense because they're planning on moving to middleweight, according to their team. So if you're trying to fight Golovkin, I think the proper fights would have been maybe like Gabe Rosado, Willie Monroe, David Lemieux, Curtis Stevens, anybody like that, and start acclimating yourself to the higher division instead of fighting for a title that you're not going to stick around. A crowded 154. They have Julian J. Rock Williams versus Jamal Charlo. That was just announced yesterday. They have Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade, a guy who called you a bitch and's been calling you out. You got guys like the other Charlo brother. You have just a ton of names. Vanes Matarosen, and there's champions out there, down there in that division, or former champions. So if you're going to acquire the belt, you can't even unify with them because you're not going to stick around long enough to do it. So as far as game planning, that made no sense to me in the Liam Smith fight, and I can't stress it enough. So I mean, he got the belt. And in other news, the WBO, another one of their belt holders, Billy Joe Saunders, he's been inactive. He hasn't fought since Andy Lee, which a lot of people forgot about that fight. It was in December of 2015, if I'm not mistaken. And the WBO says as a result of his inactivity, he has to make up for it by having 2 voluntary defenses of that belt. And they said they're okay if Canelo's one of them. So obviously Canelo being an A side, there's a lot of politics in boxing. I'm not going to really spend too much time on it in this video. But bottom line, if you're a superstar like Floyd Mayweather, if you're a superstar like Pacquiao, like Canelo, these sanctioning bodies want you to hold their belt because it's a good look for them, because there's someone that represents their belt that makes a lot of money for the sport, and it brings a lot of notoriety to their belt. Plus you pay sanctioning fees if you keep and hold on to those belts. So there's a lot of behind the scenes on why the sanctioning bodies want certain people to have it. If you're a star like Rigondeaux who doesn't get the proper treatment from boxing fans, from promoters, from networks, then they don't really care if you have the belt. Even though you deserve the belt, it seems like they don't really care if you have the belt. That's why they'll strip like Rigondeaux, a guy like that, and then make his belt available as a vacant belt because he can't get fights because people are ducking him. And then people that Rigondeaux already defeated, like a Nonito Donaire, scrapped with Cesar Juarez, and they fought for Rigondeaux's old belt, which makes no sense. Rigondeaux beat Donaire, and he almost stopped him in that last round, the final round, 12th round. And now someone's fighting for a vacant belt, not because he lost it, but because they stripped him, just like they stripped Demetrius Andrade. So bottom line, if you're a star like Canelo and you bring in the big bucks, you're a star like Mayweather, then it seems like the rules get bent a little bit. But this fight you see on screen didn't really make sense. I'm ready for the next step in Canelo's career. Good fighter. Something that was asked of him by El Voxero, which is like a Puerto Rican Latino news station or whatever. They asked about a Cotto rematch, and he said it would be an honor to fight Cotto. Now, again, I'm going to keep this brief because this is no news. He says it all has to come down to his team in negotiations. I don't want to see Canelo versus Cotto 2. Seen it, been there, done it. Canelo clearly won. There was not enough like worldly excitement to the point where I feel like that fight needs to happen again, especially right now. Cotto literally has done nothing since that fight. Literally. They said he was coming back to possibly fight Gamboa, to possibly fight Lamont Peterson, Gabe Rosado, James Kirkland, a million people. But truth is, he hasn't come back to fight anybody. So to me, I'm not really even considering Cotto as a really active fighter. It seems like he's like fighting per contract, but I don't think his heart is necessarily in boxing. I think he's more of kind of a family man and a person with the illustrious career that knows how to fight, but I don't really consider him as like, I'm still trying. He doesn't seem hungry. You know what I mean? He doesn't seem like, I'm still trying to be the best and I'll take on Demetrius Andrade or Edeslani Lara. You know what I mean? I'm hearing about Cotto versus Bradley, which is not a bad fight, but Bradley hasn't fought at 154. You know what I mean? Why don't you fight Andrade? Why don't you fight Edeslani Lara? Guys with experience at 54. Charlo versus J-Rock winner. You know what I'm saying? So to me, I don't want to see that. That's a easy payday for them because I guess some people will probably tune into it. But I really have no desire to see Cotto versus Canelo. And I think that's kind of a backtrack. Especially, it's going to look bad if Canelo does fight Cotto in a rematch. Because Golovkin is the guy that you say you want, that you guys offered a flat rate and got to get the politics all figured out, but that's the fight the fans want. So, I mean, Cotto to me is a backtrack, and that's no disrespect. Cotto is a legend. Cotto is a favorite of my mind. I watched his whole career, right? But it's just, to me, I've always been the same way. When it comes to rematches, you gotta tell me a reason why we're watching it. Like, I didn't want to see Pacquiao Bradley 3, right? Because I thought Pacquiao won the first two fights. It wasn't his best work in the first fight, but I thought he won it. You know what I'm saying? So it has to be warranted. Like, if Robert Easter Jr. and Richard Comey had a rematch, I wouldn't be mad at it because their first fight was very exciting. It was very competitive. They traded knockdowns, etc. But the Cotto Canelo fight wasn't really like that. I think Canelo clearly won, and Cotto has done literally nothing since then. He hasn't had one single fight. So hopefully it's a guy like Billy Joe Saunders. David Lemieux, I think, called out Canelo recently. He fights tomorrow. He's a big dude with power. But Canelo, he says it's my era and this stuff like that. So let's see it. You guys see it on his bio. Saul Alvarez, the face of boxing. Like, if you're the face of boxing, you know what I mean? Do what's right for boxing and start putting on these massive cards and good shows, fights that are competitive and perceived as competitive fights for the public. And that's really all I got to say. But the WBO said they're okay with Billy Joe Saunders. He's another person where he's a champion, but what has he really done in recent memory? Andy Lee, that was a while ago. So he definitely should fight a guy like Canelo. You know what I mean? Because it doesn't look like he wants to fight Golovkin. So fight Canelo. He's a name. He'll bring you money, and you'll get recognition if you beat him. And he sounds certain, more certain that he can beat Canelo than he does that he can beat Golovkin. Let me know what you guys think. Canelo did receive his WBO belt. Drop all your thoughts in the comment section. Canelo clearly is a star. You can see by the crowds that he draws. But imagine if he does 50,000 plus in Texas with a no-namer like Liam Smith. What if it was one of the Charlo brothers who are natives of Texas, or a fight we wanted to see like Julian J-Rock Williams versus Charlo winner, or Gennady Golovkin, or David Lemieux? That's a fight you could easily sell. A knockout artist. Canelo has power, and he's a better boxer, more skilled than David Lemieux. But David Lemieux comes to slug, and the only person that really dominated him, like all rounds, he's been stopped before and stuff, was Gennady Golovkin. And unless you have Golovkin's jab, his height, his power and stuff, that doesn't mean every fight's going to play out like that. You know what I mean? A lot of people want to compare, oh, but Golovkin did this. Golovkin and Canelo don't really fight alike. So each fight is his own fight. You know what I mean? Canelo doesn't necessarily have Golovkin's chin. I don't know who has a better chin because neither one of them look like they get hurt too much, but you have to have every single attribute for it to be identical. Let me know what you guys think. Drop it in the comment section. Share the video. Like the video. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, is Ego signing off.